In life, I'm sure it's not just me, but you as well. We have all encountered people who live only for themselves, who only want to snatch the best things for their own benefit without caring in the slightest about helping or checking in on those around them. Even worse, they use tricks to achieve their goals at the cost of causing pain to others. We call them selfish people, those who only know how to receive without any concern for giving back. I believe there aren't many people who are completely selfish in every single aspect, because as we grow up and meet more people, if we maintain that selfish attitude, our lives will gradually wither away until friends, relatives, and society completely turn their backs on us. Instead, there are those who are partially selfish and very skillfully hide it behind their own masks. We can entirely use our intuition to see through such people. In work and in life outside, most of us should accept interacting with those in our social circle who possess a win-win mindset. So in short, what is a win-win mindset? Welcome back to The Quiet Mind, a place for a still mind. Put on your headphones, go to a quiet place, let yourself be as comfortable as possible, and we will begin right now. A win-win mindset, simply understood, means both sides benefit. We can easily see this in a corporate context where the balance is always striving to be leveled, not leaning too far to one side. I can take a very simple example. A business recruits you based on your skills and experience. You will be paid a salary and bonuses in full to take care of your personal life, your children, and your family. In return, what must you commit to? 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, totaling 40 hours a week, dedicating your labor to the company. If you feel that the salary you are paid is not commensurate with the brain power you are putting in, or if you go to work but are neglected by your leader, ignored, and not evaluated reasonably and adequately, then that is when you feel you are losing more than you are gaining. That is the moment you will leave and break this relationship by terminating the labor contract. Thus, a win-win mindset in the workplace is when both parties feel they can work together because their interests are guaranteed fairly, corresponding to the time and effort they invest in each other. Returning to daily life, as we are born and grow up, we all carry good virtues along with bad habits. We always like winning and fear losing, because when we win, dopamine is released, making us feel very happy and excited. But when we lose, we feel very sad, discouraged, and prone to depression. Growing up, what are we always taught? You must be at the top of the class. You must be the valedictorian. You must study better than your friends. You must get perfect marks in this subject or that. This causes us to develop an attitude of gatekeeping our knowledge. When we study in groups, we don't want to help or share documents with friends, wanting to hide the good parts that we know will be on the exam. The aim is to get higher marks than our peers. That is a very bad way of thinking. As we grow older and face more collisions, we learn life lessons for ourselves, gradually changing our nature to fit into the collective, the community, and society. For instance, as you go through high school, university, and then to work, you realize your childhood selfishness was wrong. The more people you meet, the more open you want to be, and you are always ready to help them without any calculation. However, you will meet many people who always carry a selfish nature, even in school and at work. Their essence might not be entirely bad, but the cultural environment of work forces them to change to achieve their own goals. This is the win-lose way of thinking, meaning I must win while you must lose something. Living with the attitude that I must win at any cost, that I must be better than others, that my family must be better than theirs, will make your life extremely exhausting. You will always have to brace yourself, finding ways to stay ahead and gain more profit, viewing life as nothing more than a battlefield. Many people are trapped in this lifestyle without even knowing it, and I would like to take 5 examples of this win-lose lifestyle, also known as only thinking well of oneself, elevating oneself, and putting others down. The first example, if you are a selfish person who only thinks of yourself, it's very easy to see. There was a thief who stole a drain cover on a bridge and was caught. That thief only cared about himself. He cared about selling those manhole covers or drain grates to earn a little money for his own spending. As for how it affects the environment or society, that's for the government to worry about. Why should he care, right? Those are the types of selfish people who only think for themselves. The second group consists of those who think autocratically and do not care about the feelings of others. For example, people who always think they are right and never realize their mistakes. No matter how much you explain, they still try to hold on to their own perspective, never breaking their own prejudices or respecting you, believing your opinion has no value. The third group in this win-lose relationship is those who take advantage of others to achieve their own ends. For example, every time you face a struggle in life, you invite your friend out for a meal or a drink just so you can complain and moan about your company, your work, or speak ill of your colleagues and boss. But when your friend faces difficulties or unlucky events and wants to invite you out, you disappear and say you're busy. Or when you face hardships, you borrow money from friends very quickly. But when friends want to borrow back from you, you start making excuses to avoid lending. Those are the people who only know how to exploit others for their own purposes. The fourth group in the win-lose relationship is those who are jealous and envious when they see others succeed. For example, you see your colleague being highly appreciated by the boss, getting a raise or a bonus. Instead of looking back to see why they were rated so highly, what they did well, and what you haven't done well to improve, you start feeling uncomfortable inside. That is a very bad way of thinking, rooted in jealousy. Of course, I'm not talking about cases where a colleague is promoted just because of connections. And the final group in the win-lose relationship, which is the worst group, is when you harm others, pushing them down so you can rise higher. For example, speaking ill of others, perhaps in a very subtle way, using clever words to devalue them, even if that person is loved by many in the company, but you are trying to break their beautiful image. Or worse, you make things up, spread rumors, or broadcast bad news about others to lower them and elevate yourself. For example, at work, you might occasionally hear phrases like, "Oh, that woman has had 2 husbands," or "Oh, she's dating a sugar daddy." The fact that they have had 2 husbands or a sugar daddy doesn't affect the quality of their work in your company at all. However, doing that makes colleagues and leaders who hear it have a very bad, ugly, and unsympathetic view of that person. That is a truly terrible thing. If we fall into these 5 cases and live in a win-lose relationship like this, I hope you can re-examine yourselves and change. Conversely, a win-win mindset will make us change the way we look at life. Meaning, if I get something, you must get something too. Everyone is equal and no one is better or worse than anyone else. This means when we participate in a transaction, an offer, or a negotiation, besides thinking about what we gain, we must also think about what we have to lose. We should think for the person opposite us. What are they gaining? What are they losing in working with you? Only when both sides in an agreement feel they have balanced their gains and losses will they be completely comfortable shaking hands to carry out the task. For example, if you are invited to a friend's house for a meal and your friend has prepared everything, cooked it, and laid it out, and you only need to show up and eat, you must also know that you need to give something back. For example, you spend more time with your friend, or next time you treat them more generously, or be ready to roll up your sleeves and stay behind to wash the dishes for them, right? However, it's not always that when we give something, we immediately expect to receive something back. There are cases where we accept giving first, accepting a disadvantage, meaning we don't care or calculate what we will get in return. Do you know what kind of relationship this is? This is a relationship of family affection, parents and children, and the relationship of love. In family affection, we clearly see that fathers and mothers are ready to give everything for their children without ever calculating how the child will repay them later. From the day we are born, they have been ready to give, giving us the best things in life. Or when we truly love someone, we are ready to do everything to make our lover feel comfortable and happy. In that way, we are already happy, right? That is a relationship where we are ready to give while almost never expecting anything back. If both people understand the other and are ready to give more than the other, sharing that same giving attitude, then that is an extremely stable and long-lasting relationship that brings long-term happiness. But if only one of the two shows selfishness, it will make the story much worse, because it is about emotion, whether it is blood relation or lovers. It is very different from social friendships or work relationships. If it is a friend, a colleague, or a boss who treats you badly, does bad things, spreads rumors about you, or doesn't appreciate you, you are ready to leave and terminate the labor contract. I don't need to play with you anymore. I'll go to another company to work, right? But with siblings, parents, blood relations, or lovers, the bond is harder to break. I see some friends who cannot break out of a very toxic romantic relationship where you only focus on giving, caring, and looking after them with all your heart, while they, in contrast, don't care a damn about you and only hope to profit from you. You are clearly being hurt by them, yet you cannot break this relationship. Furthermore, you always try to cling, make up, and return, making the relationship normal. If this continues for a long time, the relationship becomes abusive, and if you aren't alert, it will be very, very hard to break away. The relationship I just described is lose-win. It means I must lose first while you benefit. Those are the three types of relationships I have mentioned so far: win-win, win-lose, and lose-win. And there is a fourth relationship, which is lose-lose. These are the four main relationship groups in today's society that we can see. Lose-lose buying is the worst of the four, which is, if I fall or if I die, I must drag you down with me. For example, in a large family, you are labeled as both a bad student and a person with a flawed life. Conversely, in your family, there is a relative who is highly regarded, successful, smart, and holds a high social status. Instead of feeling happy for them, you are very resentful and always find every way to drag them down to your level. Lose-lose also happens to people who always carry hatred, meaning you bitterly hate someone and find every way to get revenge to hurt them, thinking that when they are in pain, you are the winner, but actually you are hurting just as much. A practical example regarding YouTube: if only 2 people install an ad blocker, it doesn't matter, no one dies. But if all of us install apps to block all ads on YouTube, then in the end, what does YouTube live on? They will surely die. Then those advertisers will no longer use YouTube as an advertising platform. And from there, content creators will also leave, abandoning the platform. And finally, who benefits? Who loses? The loser is definitely YouTube, and all of you too, no one else, because if you don't have content creators, you no longer have this platform for entertainment. So you yourselves are the losers. This is just one example to show you that social relationships cannot be tight if we only desire to profit from the other side. There are many other examples we can see, like those who buy electronics, phones, tablets, laptops, with a warranty. Near the end of the warranty period, you have a tendency to break it, making it fit the insurance contract or warranty so that you can get a new machine after using the old one for almost the whole period. If you imagine everyone trying to profit from such relationships, would manufacturers still want to offer good warranty policies? So how can we have a win-win way of thinking in every case? I don't have any textbook answers for you. Instead, I will use life principles to force myself to think win-win in many different situations so as to never fall into win-lose, lose-win, or worse, lose-lose. First, know yourself and know others. These 4 words are an extremely difficult problem to solve and carry out. Knowing yourself is knowing where your limits are, knowing where your personal value stands, and knowing how your ego is in order to overcome it. This is not simple. I see many people who have lived for many years, but still don't realize where they should stand or what they should say to be reasonable. Knowing others is when we interact with people, knowing their underlying purpose when they want to interact with us, and what their gains and losses are. As I said initially, if we have disagreements in working with them, respect each other, exchange with an open mind, and be ready to find a solution, knowing where to stop. Second, always practice the way of thinking. Life is not a battle, and I have no reason to win against anyone. If in life, in my family, or in my work, I see someone achieve certain accomplishments and be recognized for them, be happy for them, and always give them sincere compliments. It shouldn't be that in your mind you are uncomfortable and jealous while your mouth gives a fake, perfunctory compliment. Third, see that our lives set us up for games we must enter, and we think we must win to pass the level. We shouldn't think that way. For example, if we interview at a large, extremely complex corporation with many ranks and levels, one of the first things we should say to the leader there is, I am not working here for a high or low rank. I don't care whether you evaluate me high or low. What I care about here is what I am doing. Have I tried my best for the work? Have I finished it well? What have I contributed to the company? And in return, what have I learned from this work? So that for my next job, I am ready to move forward, for example, to a higher position with the knowledge and skills I learned here. From then on, you won't care about rankings or how you are evaluated through each quarter or at the end of the year. Once you are in an office environment, especially in larger companies, the evaluation and ranking of employees will become more difficult and will no longer just be based on ability. There are many other underlying factors that you don't even know what they are. Your job will be to focus on yourself, contribute, and look at the results you receive after what you do. If your work results are high, but your leader evaluates you with a low rank, be ready to stand up and fight for justice. If you don't see it as fair, be ready to leave and quit. That's all. It's very simple, right? Thus, to maintain a win-win living attitude with everyone, we always give first and don't think too much about what we get back from them. If I give too much and feel that the person opposite me is ready to profit from my help without any tendency to help me back, I am ready to bluntly cut off the relationship with them and consider them disappeared from my life picture immediately. In summary, what is the point? We should minimize as much as possible the way of thinking that we must win. Only when we think for the person opposite us, whether we have done anything for them or not, whether they have received enough or not, or even better, giving more than we receive, but in a very wise and moderate way, only then can our relationships with those around us be tight. A relationship is only truly tight and long-lasting when one of the two sides gives and doesn't profit too much from the other side. From there, we can move towards a society called fair and civilized. I know that a fair and civilized society doesn't truly exist, but it is from ourselves, from you. We change ourselves, always approaching life with a win-win attitude. Then we are indirectly making our society approach that civilization and fairness faster and sooner. Thank you for watching the video to this point. I hope today's episode brought you some value so that this relationship is also win-win. You watched the whole video and I brought you something meaningful. Thank you very much and see you next time.